back with more Dollhouse. This is episode 12 of season 2, the penultimate episode of the show, which is very sad knowing that, we're going to be ending the show in probably about a week from now. Maybe a bit longer actually, because I have my birthday next week, in about a week, so we'll see how it goes. But either way, we are so close to the end of Dollhouse, and how the last episode ended off, I don't know what to expect. Only more pain and sadness, I assume. Amazing episode last time, it was phenomenal. But I'm still recovering from that reveal at the end, so I'm intrigued to see where they're going to take it now. And Boyd's been behind it all this time. He's kind of like a head of Rossum, so I feel betrayed and hurt and angry and sad. One of, if not my absolute favourite character in the show, turned out to be the big bad all along. So there's that. Again, we don't know if that was always going to be the plan to reveal that later on down the line, or if, they just needed to make someone evil to end the show early. Who knows, who can say. But that was quite something, and I'm intrigued to see where they're going to take it next. Because it is a bit, oh, okay, that's a thing we're doing. We're rolling with that now, are we? But maybe they can really make that work. And yeah, there's a lot going down, so we'll see what happens. Still pissed about Summer Glau as well, on top of everything. Can't believe they killed her. So yeah, I see how we're gonna start heading towards, I guess, that future we saw at the end of season 1 and where they're going with all this. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. Also very nervous given the big revelations and the fact that there's only one more episode of the show after this. But we'll see what happens, and yeah, let's get into the next one.
I want to see exactly how far you can go. And I promise you,
this feels so wrong.
You'll learn to trust me.
I learned to trust you.
I couldn't live with myself. Neither could you.
Oh boy. Hey, you two missed a shitstorm. Oh, heck.
She's the only one who could identify Rossum's founder. Without her, we're screwed.
If we don't try everything...
I think Boyd can identify him.
Must be some kind of program.
No, not a program. A person. This chair, it changes you into someone else.
No matter who I am, no matter what they put in my skull, I always remember you. I won't change.
Oh, it's true.
But if I turn evil?
I'm scared. Did Topher leave it, or did Boyd? Is he Topher again?
Did it not work? Where'd everyone go?
Oh my god, yes!
Did they change their minds?
Who are you?
This is the best. They just knew how good he was. They had to do it again.
Adele DeWitt. We haven't met, but I've heard all about you.
She killed Bennett.
She's not Claire.
He's quick.
I thought Clyde was stuck in the attic.
Oh.
Not anymore. My original got himself caught in a loop. This world is for people who can...
Oh, so...
And does that include us?
Whiskey's gone.
Oh, something only Topher would know.
Yeah, frankly, 90% of the things in my head, no one else knows. It would help to get caught up.
He does that so good.
Boyd's working for us.
Adele.
Ooh. I do appreciate the suit. I will say that, but I'm kind of sad that they just got rid of Whiskey.
I'd like to thank him for his faith in me. I know he's looking forward to that moment.
You don't want to do that. That's just going to loop back on you.
Topher, stop breathing on me.
I can't even enjoy that banter anymore with those two.
I don't know. That dude can act. I don't know whether I want to kill him or get his autograph.
Oh, we have to go. We have to help
Same.
them. I can't just sit here. We have to fight.
That is so Ripley of you, and it's super sexy, but can I make a suggestion? It wasn't a bad wedge. Bennett fixed it. I saw it. And anyway, if the wedge wasn't fixed, it wouldn't make Echo lose her marbles like that. This is something else.
What do you think it is?
I don't have proof.
What could it be?
You think someone drugged Echo? How?
It had to be someone in the dollhouse. I don't know who yet, but I'm working on it. I left a little helpful something back at the ranch.
Shit, shut up.
Topher 2.0. Maybe it didn't take.
Oh, damn.
Well, that's different.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Well, wait.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the toys they have in here. Seriously? You gotta show me how you do that.
Let's check it out.
What about Echo and everything?
The power of evil.
One zap with the laser. Bzz. You're a doll.
Shit.
Whoa, whoa. What is wrong with you?
It doesn't work.
Well, good. Maybe they don't have
He
to
hoped it did.
Topher, think.
That's what got us here in the first place. I'm going for mindless destruction.
Oh.
We can use this, Topher. All you have to do is fix one of them. Can you do it?
In my sleep.
No.
Do it.
Oh.
Take it. You have to learn to protect yourself.
Yeah. Guess I can't rely on you to protect me all the time.
We feel what we feel. And I didn't want to reach the end without you. Okay?
Oh. I always really liked their relationship. Even before they revealed she was, you know.
You truly are amazing. I'm glad I chose you.
Chose me for what?
He's doing the evil smile and the evil walk like this. I hate it. Oh, shit.
I have enhanced weapon skills. Anyone care to see a demonstration?
No.
You're here because you're my family. I love you guys.
Funny way of sharing it, pal.
Can we just pull the plug on the AC?
And overheat the servers. I got you here. You killed Bennett.
Everyone has had a sacrifice.
Aww, did Dal take his hand?
So incredible, your commitment, your skills.
I'm the Tin Man, she's the Lion, and you're the head of the Lollipop Guild, who's the traitor.
I wanted you all with me. Except for Paul. There's always one relative you can live without. And frankly, I never understood what you saw in him. We have to face the facts. The technology exists. It can't be uninvented. Once it gets out there, it will be abused. None of us can prevent that from happening. But we can choose where we want to be and on what side when the end finally does arrive. It leaves neurochemical tracers in your cerebral spinal column.
Please talk about accepting the fact that they can't uninvent the technology. Didn't he, like, orchestrate it being made in the first place? That fun little toy again, is it?
I hate elephants.
Me too.
She was so afraid of using a gun. Still not quite using it, but you know.
Activate Melly's sleeper protocol. I won't do it.
No.
I'm sure I'll be far more talkative with my brain splattered all over Topher.
We're going to have company.
Topher's had enough brains splattered on him for the day, thanks. I'm scared if they activate her, he's gonna have to kill her, surely, and then I'll jump out my window.
There are 3 flowers in a vase.
Fuck.
The 3rd flower is green.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh no.
Paul? I can't.
You can fight this. You know who you are.
Oh, for God's sake. Why do the characters I like the most get shot in the head all the time? No, 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 no. That's too many needles. Oh, God.
My family. Do me a favor. Call us whatever you want, just not family.
Yeah.
You know about Boyd?
Yeah, didn't see that one coming.
He's holding it down in Topher.
Put it lightly.
Slap.
You handed someone a piece of paper. I invented it. Now.
He won't hesitate, bitch.
You can overpower him. Claire.
Oh, she's lying. Ah.
Still Clyde.
Adele. She triggered Millie and
Oh no, he doesn't know.
she killed herself. Whoever's running things got to her. She turned on all of us.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Let's take that bitch down for good.
Even if you're on life support, we can still tap your spine.
Oh. Whoa.
Take it easy. What did I miss?
A bunch.
It's him.
Echo loves you. She never.
Shit. I didn't think it would come down to this when I first watched this show.
I loved you.
I know.
Oh. Oh. Shit.
Could I fall asleep?
Oh.
For a little while. And pull the pin out. Do you understand?
Yes.
Oh, take all of it with
I
him.
try to be my best.
They still have to take down the people in the attic though, right? Because they're all like the servers really, aren't they? The people. Oh, that's awful. Look how they've massacred my boy. It was cool that Topher kind of got to use his technology for good, in a way, to like take Boyd down.
Did we save the world?
I guess we did.
Bad news for you. It's in the future. Yep. Okay, well, we have one episode left of Dollhouse, which is crazy. Really good episode overall. If I'm completely honest, I am quite mixed on a lot of things. The Boyd thing, I do like the kind of tragedy, I guess, of how they stopped him, and you know, he kind of got wiped, and he himself kind of, you know, his hubris cost him and all that. But I don't know, I think I'm just sad because he was like my favourite for so long, and then that turn just kind of happened so suddenly, and there wasn't that much build up, and I get they had to rush things because the show got cancelled, but you know, that still shouldn't necessarily take away. And I just feel like the only reason Boyd was like ahead of Rossum was so they could do that plot twist, and I think it would have worked just as well if it had just been some randomer we'd never met. I know it wouldn't have been as dramatic or exciting, but I still think the story would have been basically unchanged by it. Like the fact that it was actually Boyd all along and he betrayed them all or lied to them all this time, that didn't really matter because his motivations were basically the same as it would have been if you'd made anyone the head of Rossum. If that makes sense. I don't know. So I'm kind of mixed on that. It just feels like a twist for the sake of having a twist because the show was ending. But, yeah. And I think the fact that, you know, when he was like, oh, you're my family, that's why you're all here. I'm just like, I don't know if they'd quite earned that with Boyd. It just didn't feel quite true to the guy we'd seen. And I get, you know, he'd been lying to him that time, but if he really did feel that way about them all, I think he would have genuinely shown that to them anyway, because he wouldn't have needed to lie about that if he genuinely like loved them all and considered him his family. But never quite got that with anyone, I think, but Echo. Maybe Topher I could believe it as well, but anyone else, I don't know. I did like that he was like, not bad though, don't like him. That was kind of funny. So I don't know about all of that, but I do like that obviously everyone found out about it in different points of the episode, and in the final confrontation, I liked that Topher was the one who could like use his own technology that he'd invented and caused all this trouble. He actually kind of used it for good in the end and helped save the day, and took down that kind of Rossum place, but there were still like more dollhouses and more attics and stuff. So are we going to see them like hunt the rest of those down? Because that's when you truly wipe it out. It's not like they've saved the day. They're like, have we saved the world? And I was like, yes, but don't you still have like the attic and stuff? Because you've said that the people were the servers, not just the machines. So that, I don't know, maybe that's going to be pick up in the next episode, because it ended with the flash forward to 10 years in the future again. So are we revisiting that timeline for the end of the show, or are we just going to have like the final episode is bridging the gap from the present day stuff to that future we saw at the end of last season? Is that going to be what it is? It's going to be a mix of both. I don't know. So I am looking forward to seeing that. And when Boyd was like, this technology exists. We just have to accept that now. It means to just choose to be on the winning side of whatever comes from this technology. And I get that, but if he's like the head of Rossum and he was like, wasn't he orchestrating all this technology, and he said he chose Topher in the first place to develop this technology? So if you're like, let's just choose the right side from what happens from this technology being created, but surely he's like responsible for it being made in the first place, so why did he feel the need to choose a side? Like, don't make it then. That felt a bit odd. Maybe I'm just missing something, but I didn't quite understand that motivation. But yeah, there's a lot of confusion around that, but I do kind of like the ending for... Well, I don't like the ending for Boyd as a character, because up till now he was my favourite. I like that they, I guess, didn't go back on it and he genuinely believed what he was doing was right. Some characters and whatever will turn evil, or they'll turn against their friends and all that jazz, and they'll have a redemption arc, or they'll have a last minute heroic sacrifice to try and make amends, while they see the error of their ways. I do like that they didn't really go back on things with that Boyd twist. They didn't really have time to, granted, but that I did kind of enjoy. If they went there, they might as well just stick the landing with it. And it was an interesting kind of switch with him and Echo / Caroline at the end. And, she kind of almost became his handler for a moment there, which was a nice moment. And that fun little smile he gives her when she leaves is, they had such a nice bond. And when she was like, I loved you, it was like, it just almost seems like a waste, I guess, for a twist that you could have put anyone in Boyd's place. And I don't think the story would have really changed, which I don't think is necessarily a good thing when you have a main character just turn evil and it could have literally just been swapped out with anyone else. So if you're going to have that big plot twist, at least make it about that person who's turned evil, who's been evil all this time. And I feel like they didn't quite do that, if that makes sense. But maybe it's just me, and maybe it's just because I really liked Boyd a lot when we thought he was good. But still, I appreciate that they gave it at least some sort of resolution, even if I'm not entirely clear on like all the motivations and stuff right now. We have another episode where maybe they explore it a bit more, I don't know. But the fact he's blown up probably signifies I'm not going to see him again, which makes me sad. I think Topher mentioned that they got Clyde / Whiskey out. I think there's a little line in there when he said they got her out. Or she got blown up as well, but I don't think that was the case, so maybe we'll see more of her. But again, that was another thing I wasn't big on. The fact that they brought Amy Acker back, had this big plot twist. It's been really interesting to see, exploring like Saunders's kind of mindset, realising that her boyfriend was evil, or did she know all this time that he was evil and she was kind of been brainwashed in a way onto his side, and exactly what was running through her head when she shot Bennett and everything, and how that all came about. They was like, oh no, we got rid of her and I'm Clyde again now. That felt like a bit of a waste to me, because I do feel like Saunders, even with the limited screen time she got, particularly this season, I did feel like she was the most complicated and one of the more complex characters on the show. So to just bring her back and then immediately write her out and just swap her out with Clyde 2.0, just like Echo could beat her up. I don't know, it felt like a waste of the character and of Amy Acker. So I wasn't a big fan of that. I mean, it was fine because Amy Acker in a suit is a big yes, but I don't know. It just felt like wasted potential for that character for me. So I wasn't that keen on that side of things. And I'm coming across as quite negative in everything so far, but those are the big things I wasn't as big on. The rest of the episode and all the rest of the character stuff I actually really enjoyed. I'm sad about Melly, November. Man, they put her through the shitter for 2 seasons, and then that happens. Oh, no one can be happy. You know, it's a Whedon show. No one can be happy, and I'm basically learning the lesson now. And as sad as it was, I actually, because so much tragedy has happened to that character already, it wasn't like, oh my god, like that. You know, it felt true to the character's journey thus far because of how much they put her through, in a way that it didn't quite, I think, with the boy's turn. And the fact that, you know, it activated her kind of instinct again. And you think, oh good, she's kind of come to her senses because she's seen Ballard's there. And I've always enjoyed the bond between Ballard and Melly. I was actually really liked those two together. So the fact that they were kind of revisiting that a bit, testing the waters with it a bit, and he got her out in the last episode, stuff like that. She recognised him, but then, you know, she couldn't live with the reality of who she was. And it was interesting that, you know, the whole episode she was like, well, I can't always rely on you to protect me, and she wasn't that big on like handling a gun and everything, and then she ends up shooting herself is kind of quite something. And this show just likes people getting shot through the head and the blood going all over a male love interest of theirs, I guess. Which probably isn't a great pan, granted, but still, I feel like as an ending to that character, it was very tragic, but also quite memorable and sad. And I actually think that kind of worked, you know, kind of emotional fallout of that. And, you know, you could see how broken Ballard was after that in that scene with Boyd, and he's really shaken up by it. So I've liked that kind of emotional turn. And I think that's another thing with the Boyd thing. I know there's a lot going on, there's a lot to kind of focus on, but you could see how emotionally devastated Ballard was from Melly dying like that. And when people found out about Boyd's like turning on them and actually being, you know, ahead of Rossum all this time, they were just like, okay, that's what it felt like to me. There wasn't enough of a like, oh my god, how could you do this? We had a few lines and a few moments like it, but not like, it didn't have the boom impact that the initial reveal of last episode did for me. I feel like they didn't quite live up to that. It's like, well, I guess Boyd's evil. Okay, that's a shocker. I didn't see that coming. That's kind of all there was to it. I feel like I wanted a bit more hurt from it, I guess. Which is an odd thing to ask for, to be more hurt by a TV show. But there you have it. But still, the stuff with Ballard and Melly, them talking about the fact that they're both kind of dolls now. Yeah, really sad end to her character, but I did like that kind of pairing with those two and the emotion that came from it, however briefly. And just the tragedy of the character. Like, she was basically probably the cinnamon roll of the show, to be honest, for me. I think I may have called it that in early season 1 as well, when she was Melly. That might have been before the big reveal with her. And yeah, it's just so sad and tragic, but I actually feel like that emotional gut punch really, really worked, for sure. So I am very sad about that, for sure. But yeah, that was that. One thing I really appreciate is Topher personality being put back into Tony. That was great to kind of have another moment of that, because I think that's probably some of the best acting I've ever seen was Enver playing Victor, playing Topher a couple of episodes back. So the fact that they brought it back, they knew how good he was. They just had to do it again. And I loved that kind of whole moment, and they could use him to you know, make Tony even more adept as a fighter and work out, you know, Boyd's betrayal. So I liked everything going on with Priya and Tony, and the fact that they couldn't quite give up on their friends. They had that chance to escape, but, you know, they're a family. They had to fight the good fight. And I got the whole, like, oh, you know, we're a family. I feel like that landed a lot more for me with them as opposed to the Boyd thing when he was like, you're my family. Just because I think we've seen a bit more of that trio throughout the past 2 seasons of them developing together. Kind of starting that revolution. So I bought into that a bit more. I don't know, just like, oh, you're my family with Boyd. I don't know. It felt a bit cheap to me, I think, to try and get that as a reason. But for like the Tony and Priya stuff, I think that actually worked. So very appreciative that we got to see Enver play Topher again, because that was awesome and so funny. And it's just, Enver's just so good in the show. He's so much fun to watch. So I liked everything with that. I liked Topher kind of feeling guilty about all this tech and wishing he could almost share the guilt with someone, but then when Adele was trying to share that guilt, he was like, no, this is all my fault. Don't take this from me, which is an interesting kind of thing with Topher's character. And, you know, Adele kind of comforting him for a moment, you know, building up to where we've seen them in the future. So I liked everything with that. And it was kind of nice that Topher was the one to take out Boyd in the end, because I do feel like they portrayed his betrayal by Boyd probably the most, with maybe the exception of Echo or Caroline, but I still feel like we didn't get enough of that. So yeah, I'm interested to see where they're going to take the next episode now that Rossum's been apparently destroyed and stuff. I feel like there's still like more of that story to go with, you know, the attic and the dollhouses throughout the world. I'm sure, you know, Rossum's not down and out, and that's kind of why 10 years later there's still kind of an issue there. So I'm intrigued to see how they're going to explore that in the final episode, which will be quite something, because I started the show, I think it was February 2019 I uploaded season 1 all in one day, and I definitely started, I think, the September before, so it would have been like 2 years ago this month that I started actually watching them. So it's been quite the journey, and I'm sad to see it come to an end. Particularly, I feel like, you know, they were forced by the cancellation to wrap things up very quickly, and maybe Boyd would never have been evil all this time or whatever like that. And they could have, you know, they had like a 5-year plan or whatever, and I feel like it didn't quite come together because they had to rush it, which is kind of a shame, but you can't necessarily hold that against them because it's better than just not having an ending at all. But I just feel like some aspects of the reveals and stuff were kind of undercooked and weren't quite as impactful as they could have been. Maybe they needed to be explored a bit differently. And yeah, very mixed on the whole Boyd thing in the end. I feel like the big reveal was a lot better than what came after it, because I don't think they quite made it make sense, or the motivations just didn't quite match Boyd for me, I guess. And then the whole thing with Saunders just being shoved out of the way for Clyde. I feel like it was just a waste of a really interesting character, which was a shame. But the rest of the episode I really, really enjoyed. And I am excited to see where they're going to take it in the final episode. Don't know what to expect, but it's going to be a bittersweet thing, finishing a show. But I have absolutely loved this journey, and I can't wait to see where they take it for one last go. I don't know if it's like an extended episode or anything, and I don't think it is. But either way, I'm excited to see how they wrap up what's been a really, really great show. And yeah, obviously we'll save all the thank yous and goodbyes until the next reaction, because I wouldn't have even considered doing Dollhouse if all you guys hadn't suggested it way back when. So here we are, like 2 years on from when I first started watching it, coming to an end very soon, probably within the next week or so. It's going to depend on timing, but we'll see. But yeah, that was episode 12. Overall, really good episode. I think they definitely wrapped up a big chunk of the main storyline quite well. Some things not quite so sold on, but that comes with, I think, them having to rush a lot of this ending. So it is what it is, and it wasn't bad. And, you know, that, I think when you have to rush an ending of a show because you get prematurely cancelled or whatever, things may not all, it might 100% not make any sense, and it would be bad. Like, oh, it was all a dream, it's fine. They haven't gone down that route, and I do think they adequately wrapped a lot of it up, and I'm intrigued to see where they're going to take the final episode and how they're going to handle that. So we'll see. But overall, good episode. Very sad that we're coming to an end of the next one, but I'm excited to see what they're going to do. So yeah, that was that. And until my next reaction, thanks for watching.